All right, welcome back. So what I've decided to do as I'm wasting time before I do my 13th Doctor tier list, which is I'm not really looking forward to. You can probably tell from previous videos I'm not a big fan of the Chibnall era in general, but while I'm wasting time before I get to that thing which I need to do, I want to do a companion tier list and I figure I'm going to break it up into two videos. So first, I'll do New Who because I think that's probably a lot more succinct, although there are some weird includes. I haven't really figured out how to make my own tier list, or maybe I'm just too lazy to do that. So, I found one on TierMaker. So here we are again. This is all the New Who companions. There are some questionable includes, single episode companions, while not having someone like, I don't know, Pete Tyler in here, who I think is much more interesting a companion, but isn't really included, or Jackie Tyler for that matter. But so we'll do this one, and then we'll do another one with the classic series, 63, 89, and rank those. So you're not going to be able to tell between the two where I think they sit between each other, but that's just, you have to deal with it. All right, so this is chronologically arranged. I'll start with Rose. Rose, I think, is very good. I think she's become a bit underrated lately. There's a lot of people that hate on Rose. I really like her. I like how she sits in the canon. I think she's sweet and she's charming and she's intelligent. She's very relatable. She's probably one of, if not the most down to earth companions of the new series. I can't put her any lower than A personally. Then we have Adam. I guess he's there for 2 episodes, so that counts. He goes with the Doctor from the end of Dalek and then goes to the Satellite 9 or whatever it is and gets the weird implant in his head. And he is not likable. I think it was interesting that they included this character as sort of like cautionary tale. It's like these are the people that the Doctor doesn't travel with. He doesn't travel with people that are, selfish and don't listen to the Doctor's advice and yada yada. The naughty children. Captain Jack. Captain Jack is another one. It's hard for me to put him any lower than A. I really like Captain Jack as a character. Um, I'm not sure what else I should include. I mean, there's Doctor Who appearances and there's also Torchwood appearances. He's very interesting. I think he and the Doctor have really interesting chemistry. Both the Ninth Doctor and the 10th Doctor. I wish that he would have been there for something with Matt Smith. I think that would have been really interesting. But now we have seen him a bit with number 13, but not nearly enough. Mickey the Idiot. Again, like A tier. I really like Mickey. He has one of the most well-defined arcs in the series, where he starts out as sort of exactly that, kind of a bumbling fool. He's the put upon, long suffering boyfriend of Rose Tyler, and he's kind of gets cucked by the Doctor. He's sitting there waiting for Rose to come back and stuff like that, and then he's finally allowed to travel with him. He doesn't disappoint the Doctor. He actually really kind of surprises the Doctor in his ingenuity and his courage and that kind of stuff. And he eventually decides to go off and stays in the alternate dimension. So Donna Noble, nowhere less than S tier. Like, Donna Noble is so damn good. She's the best. There's a reason why she's the one who keeps coming back. There's a reason she came back in the special season. The reason she's the one who's coming back, because she's probably Tennant's most iconic companion, even more than Rose. Um, Martha, man, I don't know. Martha's probably better than Rose. Martha's really good. It's another one that's just kind of forgotten, and there's speculation that she's gonna be coming back, and I really hope so. But I also hope it's not just part of Unit, because I think that's just like a lazy I don't know. I think that's just a really lazy way to say, oh, well, this is what, doctors' ex-companions, they all just go and work for UNIT. And it's like, why are they all going to work for a paramilitary apparatus? Like, don't any of them have any sort of scruples? Like, what the fuck? All right, Astrid. She's fine. She's there for Voyage of the Damned. She's fine. Like, whatever. I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say about Astrid. I mean, she is Kylie Minogue, and she definitely showed her acting chops, and she was sort of memorable in a very middling episode, but she's just only there for the one, so it's whatever. Um, River Song. It's kind of odd. Oh man, River. I'm gonna put River in B. Maybe that's controversial. I think she's just so. The first time we see River Song, I'm just like, this is amazing. I want to see more of this character. And then every time we see the character afterwards, it's a little bit too much. Um, it gets to be her personality is too big, and she's just constantly being the Moffat femme, right? And I think everyone is familiar with this concept by now, which is like Stephen Moffat can only write female characters as being overtly sexual and flirty and that kind of thing, instead of being, and they're all kind of the same characters. So we have Missy, and we have River Song, and we have whatever the heck her name was, the priestess of the silence in the Time of the Doctor. Like, all these characters are just like, oh, they're just all constantly coming on to the Doctor and like overtly, like, why? Just have any other character. It's okay. They don't all have to be. Even Amy was like this at the very beginning. She's just like coming on to the Doctor. Like, you can have female characters that aren't hypersexualized. You know that, Stephen. I'm looking at you. Uh, but she's still very interesting. She still brings a lot of pathos. As like, um, Alex Kingston is spectacular. I can't put her any lower than that, but I don't think I can put her any higher than that. I really like the character. I want to see her come back, but I like to see her come back written by Russell T Davies, who seems better at writing female characters. Next, we have. I had to look this up. I couldn't remember his actual name. He's the next Doctor, the guy who gets the Doctor's memories. Jackson Lake, also fine, I guess. Like, no problem. He had an interesting arc, but it wasn't. He's just there for one episode. It's really hard to judge these guys. So, and same thing. What her name is? Sorry, Christine D'Souza. D. She was pretty awful in that episode. It was bad. Astrid Peth. I'll put her in C. She's fine. Like, again, one episode she was kind of an interesting character, offs herself at the end just to maintain the timeline. Very kind of odd. But in the one episode, she was an interesting, like, she was kind of the opposite of the Moffat femme, which is she was very in charge. She was smart. She was making executive decisions, but she seemed like she fit in the role. The actress was like really well cast for what she did. Okay, next, Wilf. Wilf is S tier. I know he's not there a whole lot. He's kind of a non-companion. He's kind of on the side, but he is a companion in the End of Time, and whatever else you feel about that serial or adventure or episode, whatever, the interaction between David Tennant's 10th Doctor and Wilfred Mott are some of the best scenes that have ever been filmed for Doctor Who. I love it. This one, it's hard to split these two up. So we got Amy and Rory, and I think they go together. I think Amy is S tier, and I think Rory is top at A tier, and I think Amy being on top is exactly how they would want it. Um, I don't know. I love Karen Gillan. She's obviously gone on and rocketed to stardom, doing all kinds of other films. It's obviously this is the launching board. She's talked about coming back and bringing Amy back. I'm not sure how feasible that is in the continuity of the show, but I love Amy and Rory. I really liked that there was a couple They really felt like a real couple with kind of typical problems until it was. I mean, in the beginning, then there was kind of this manufactured nonsense with season 7A. But that aside, the first 2 years, like that was the thing that grounded the show when there was all kinds of other nonsense going on. Is that there was still this like real relationship. Um, yeah, I love Amy, I love Rory. I really cried when they left. That was one of the most emotional moments of the show for me. Craig, top of D. So he was there twice. I hope to fuck they don't bring him back. Really don't like James Corden. Really don't like this character. Um, the Lodger was like it was a Lodger was actually a fun episode. Um, Mostly because it was kind of a palate cleanser. You know, it was like, okay, we're just gonna have a fun, silly episode that's it's not so serious before we get on with the last few episodes of season. Let's see, five, season five. Okay, but when he returns the next one, it's I really hated that episode, and I didn't like Craig in that one anymore. And it was like, okay, well, you've resolved the main tension of the first episode, which made it kind of interesting. Like, oh, he kind of really likes his female friend. Okay, well, that's resolved. So now it's it's boring. Overstate is welcome. Okay, so these next three kind of have to go together, right? So it's Lady Vastra, Jenny, and Strax. Um, it's hard for me because I like Strax a lot more than I like a lot of other characters. I like him more than it's probably rational to like this character because he's just a sentient potato. But I find him to be really good comic relief that fits in with it. I like the idea that there are these stragglers from other species that are existing on Earth. I really like the what do they call the Paternoster gang. I like the idea of that so much, and I wanted there to be a spin-off so much because these characters are not they're not developed. I mean, they're side characters. They're supposed to be characters that we don't see that how they meet the Doctor. We just accept that they're longtime companions and they've known each other for a long time. It's just we take this as read. It happens off screen. It's the kind of bullshit that Moffat does. It really drove me nuts, but I liked the characters so much. First introduced in Good Man Goes to War, I believe, and then they came back several times since. We have not seen them in the show for about a decade now. They really need to come back. I really hope that's one of the things. Like I don't know, I'm in the camp. It's another one. You know, everything about Doctor Who there's controversy. A lot of people hate them, but I really like them. But they're like as a group. I honestly think Jenny is really underdeveloped. Um, eh, I mean, she's more interesting than Asteroid, I guess. So she's gonna go here, and Vastra is gonna go in B. She's not quite as interesting as River Song, but Strax, I just have a lot of personal preference for that character. I think he's really interesting. And really funny. So okay, we got Clara. Clara's really hard to say because she's not. Clara is kind of like she's like silly putty. It's like she gets molded into whatever situation. We see her first as a Dalek, and then we see her as a 19th century nanny or whatever, and then we see her as a 21st century gal, and she just changes so much, and it seems like she just changes to fit whatever the writers want her to be. When she first joined and there was kind of a mystery about who she is, in the Snowman, I liked her in the Snowman. I thought that was really good. It's really hard to nail her down. Her first series with the like full series, because she comes in 7B, right, with the after the Pawns leave, and she was just sort of the very generic companion girl. She wasn't very interesting. They gave her some depth with Danny Pink in season 8, series 8, but then you associate, but Danny Pink's not on this list either. she's had a few standout episodes where I really liked her, and she's had a lot of episodes where I really didn't like her, and she just seemed too perfect and I don't know, just not. She didn't seem more like a robot than a human being most of the time. I'm gonna slip her into bottom of B, just as an average of all of her appearances. But she's she's a divisive companion, and I'm not the biggest fan of her overall. Nardole, Nardole, I love. Nardole and Bill is really close to S tier. This is I'm gonna put Bill above. I'm gonna put Bill at top of A. I don't think she's quite S tier, but she's very good. Her arc is also really fantastic. Um, Nardole is just he's kind of like Strax in a way. He's kind of comic relief, but he's got his own arc too, and he's really interesting. It's Matt Lucas. He's great. Um, it's one of those where like I don't think they could bring him back because it really only worked as a trifecta. It only worked with Bill and Nardole. I don't think it would work with just Nardole. I've talked before about how I like the two companion TARDIS as being the ideal TARDIS, and Bill and Nardole really worked with the Doctor as being this kind of trifecta, and it really worked, just in the same way that Amy and Rory really worked. I don't think that Nardole would work by himself, but Bill does. So there's that. Then, yeah, we don't have Missy on this list either. Okay, we got the final three. So these are the 13th Doctor companions. I'm gonna put Graham in B tier. He is totally fine. I like Graham, but it's mostly just the actor being himself and kind of being funny and making dad jokes. And the thing is with the 13th Doctors, the companions are kind of useless. They're just kind of there to be talking heads. They don't do anything. They don't add anything to the show. Um, it could be anyone. Ryan is just the worst. He's a nothing. He's absolutely nothing. I don't hate the character. He's just so bland and forgettable. He might as well not be there. Yaz is, yeah, slightly less interesting than Jenny. Like, the actress is fine. She's not given much, and then so she's generic cop that doesn't really like their backgrounds don't really matter to the characters. Um, yeah, no, just nothing really happens with this character except for she spontaneously professes her love for the Doctor, and then it's kind of awkward because the Doctor doesn't really like they don't like make out. It's like, oh, it's a lesbian relationship, but it's like it doesn't really feel like that because the actresses are both straight and there isn't really a sexual chemistry between these two characters because there really isn't between the actresses either. But that's about it. I'm very interested to see what happens in the 60th anniversary specials, and very interested to see what happens or what the companions are like for the new series. I hear it's going to be 8 episodes. It would be interesting to revisit this because apparently Mel Bush is coming back for the 60th or for the new series or something like that. It'll be interesting to have some classic characters come back, but again, I'm worried that they're just kind of like, oh, they work for Unit now. Oh, everyone just works for, like it's just that's just dumb and I hate it. All right, so next time it'll be classic companions. All on your butts.